I'm about 3 hours late. We had some tech issues earlier, but I got it fixed. So we doing our nighttime stream. I got opportunity while the house is quiet. So I tweet this out, but obviously I'm gonna break down like the new numbers coming out on COVID-19. The fact that the new numbers just came out on the daily deaths. We are now seeing 3,000 people die each year because of COVID-19, which means there's a 9/11 every day in America right now. There's a 9/11 every day because of capitalism's inability to handle the COVID crisis. If you don't think it's just capitalism, if you don't think it's capitalism that's at fault, let me ask you this. What is the incentive in order for business owners, investors to pour money into preventing a pandemic, right? There is no profit motive in stocking up on equipment that you need, medical equipment you need. Meanwhile, under the policies I advocate for, but you can call them whatever you want, I like to refer myself as a libertarian socialist. I've very simply proposed that we use our taxpayer money, the taxpayer money that they spent on giving corporations trillions of dollars of corporate bailouts. That's the result of the ruling class and billionaires growing their wealth by $1 trillion. And there's a story that I covered yesterday that if you literally can take the profits of billionaires and use that to fund $3,000 a month for every American, under my system, I will advocate for. That is what you could have killed this whole crisis, like that business owner who was he was right wing leaning, had a business. I can find that clip. I need to find that clip. I probably will in a few minutes. He pretty much said he would have been happy to shut down if he got his relief money. He will happily shut down. How you doing, Ancon Libra? Thank you for joining the stream. You can easily crush the virus by paying people to stay home. That literally would stop the spread. And you also can stimulate the economy using that UBI. Economists said so themselves, right? So I think a lot of people are missing the mark when they're discussing the COVID-19 crisis. They just say it's unfortunate that this is happening. I'm not shocked because people got mad at me when I said that at the time. I don't think Joe Biden and the Democratic Party is going to handle COVID-19 any better than Republicans. There's nothing in Joe Biden's plan that's going to prevent this. Actually, let me pull this up right now so you guys know what I'm talking about. Oh, jeez. I got to set my scene up. Let me put my window up there. First, I'm gonna find a story. Check this out. I don't know, and you guys can tell me what exactly is Joe Biden's plan to prevent this. Repeat this. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second so I can pull this up. One second. There we go. 1.4 million Americans filed for new unemployment claims, a big jump from Thanksgiving week. Layoff remains a problem. Now, unemployment claims has been over 1 million a week for 38 weeks now. We are seeing an economic collapse unlike we have ever seen before. And Joe Biden is very strategically avoiding mentioning COVID relief checks. It's not an accident. Meanwhile, what I'm proposing, what Democrats and Republicans will consider to be far left socialist ideology, is something that is happening in every single country. Every single country, they are paying people to stay home. They haven't said that people about millions due to be evicted. Yeah, I'm glad he brought that up. The next thing I was about to bring up was the homelessness crisis, right? I think I'm trying to pull the exact number up so I don't get it wrong. But there is insane amount of people that are going to be evicted on December 31st. Right? Let's see if I can find it. I thought I had it saved. Let's see. Homeless. I think this is the. Man, I thought I had a tweet saved, but I have this one. This is what I wanted to cover. This one here. This is an example of a failed state, right? And this is just another example that crime rate is a direct response to poverty, right? You have people that are in poverty, that are unable to feed their kids. They're more likely to steal to survive. They're more likely to commit a crime because people underestimate what people would do once they get really, really desperate. And this is another blight of capitalism and the way our ruling class handled this pandemic. And this is something that made my point as well. As I said here, there's just another failure of capitalism in my comment there. The people who believe that giant defense budgets are the way to stop crime, they're being ridiculous. Because you see, crime will go up no matter how much you spend on law enforcement. But crime goes down based on the material conditions of your citizens. Eric Johnson said America has been a failed state. Don't know why their discourse about this now. I mean, people get upset. I mean, liberals get really upset at me whenever I bring up the fact that there is a failed state in our country. They think I'm being a reactionary. They think I'm overreacting to the fact that our government is literally allowing Americans to starve right now. They allow Americans to starve right now to the point where they have to shoplift. And I would hate to think about like the mother who had to steal and shoplift formula because they can't afford to feed their children, right? That's just one of many examples of what I'm thinking about when I think about the failures of capitalism. That's what I think about. I think about people being forced to commit acts they don't have to in order to survive, because a lot of people in the African American community, if you talk to us, a lot of people, like, people, they get that how you get into selling drugs. I mean, there's a coincidence. There is no coincidence why areas with the highest amount of poverty have the highest crime rate. And that's why if you actually care about public safety, which people who support defund the police, they claim they do, right? I mean, it's the people who oppose defund the police, they claim they do, because they want to support these giant police budgets. Hey, how you doing, Meg? We are starting a little late today, but we here. How you guys doing? People are just now coming in. I'm just starting, just ranting and raving for now. But yeah, they complain when they're actually shoplifting. They wanted to take notice of it last second. And the question is very simple. If I have a family, if I have a kid, hell, if even just myself, fuck the family. Even if just myself, if I'm starving, I'm taking food and I'm not apologizing for 1 second. Especially if you have kids. If you have kids, you have family. I will make the argument that if you have kids and you have family and you are willing to allow them to starve instead of shoplift, I would say that's morally wrong to do that. What do you guys think? I want to ask the comments because I want you guys to be engaged in this. I say the morally wrong thing to do, if you have children and you're starving and you don't have money, he said urban foraging. I think that's one of the YouTube comments on there. I'm loving it. So my argument, if you have children, if you have a family, and if you're struggling, if you're poor, I think it's morally unjust. It's morally unjust for you not to shoplift for food for your family. Am I wrong? I don't think so. Meanwhile, I mean, if you look at the comments in this tweet, it's actually kind of reprehensible what they're saying, because they're like, I don't like. The funny thing is, I was looking at the comments in here, and a lot of people that was saying stuff like, "Oh, well, you should work harder. You should never shoplift. You should starve instead." A lot of those people was liberals. There were Democrats that were saying that. Like I would look at their bios, and that's who they were talking about, right? And once again, this is a failure of capitalism as we know it, right? And that's the whole theme of my show. Because something that drives me crazy is when people constantly see these stories of mass poverty. They constantly see these stories of American families struggling. But then they never come to the proper conclusion. See, I come to the proper conclusion that it's obviously a failure of capitalism. They just see these stories and they don't even wince about. They don't wince 1 second. Meanwhile, if you show an empty grocery store in a socialist country in Venezuela, they'll be like, "Oh, this is because of socialism and doesn't work." And Com Lyra said, "Rich people are feeling all good by themselves, giving to charity during the holidays. Meanwhile, millions are starving and due to be evicted with no help in sight." And let me ask you, such a great point. Let me ask you this: how many wealthy blue checks on Twitter right now are screaming, demanding that we do anything about this? Anyone? I mean, there's obviously the good celebrities that we are aware of, like Susan Sarandon. It's a very small list. Like the Susan Sarandons, the people that are already hated by the Hollywood establishment, they may be a little bit vocal about this. But the blue check, the people that make millions of dollars in there, they don't care about this. They don't care about that. They are, yes, Queen and Kamala. They are praising Joe Biden for just saying straight up platitudes sandwiches by Joe Biden. They love it. They love the platitudes. Joe Biden, he just talk about masks all day. Meanwhile, he never brings up COVID relief checks. He brings up masks because he's trying to bring the personal responsibility on the American people to stop the spread of the virus. Instead of the government actually doing the right thing, paying people to stay home like they should to stop the spread of the virus. The idea that almost literally every other country had. Every other country had that same idea. People are like, I'm unreasonable when I criticize our government because they can't even make that basic step. Can't even make that basic step. And you want to know why I'm mad? Because we had this massive eviction crisis. So what can we do about this? What can we do about government constantly abandoning us? I would love for this to be a common thing. This right here. Yeah, and Con Liberty talking about, he said Cardi B is out here getting upset and asking the working class, well, what you donate? Like, bitch, we don't got no money. We don't got no money. What are you talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about. And yet they'll be bitching about Bernie working with Josh Hawley to get the stimulus checks. Those same people have no problem with Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party pushing for corporate bailouts. But if you work on in a bipartisan way to help the American people, then you stepped out of line. For example, Ro Khanna went on Fox News to talk about why we should end the Afghanistan war. Meanwhile, you have Pete Buttigieg. He can go on Fox News all the time to pretty much just repeat Democratic Party talking points. Not only do they not have issue with that, they actively praise Pete Buttigieg for doing that. Meanwhile, Ro Khanna, he goes on Fox News to reach an audience to talk about some very serious issues of something that we must do that people on both sides agree with in the war. I don't know why Republicans pretend that Donald Trump has to end the war. He never did anything that made me believe he's anti-war. But you even have people on the left that fall for it. It's crazy. You even have people on the left that'll repeat the talking point that Trump is somehow anti-war. And it drives me crazy. And to be frank, it comes from a lot of toasty people. I don't know why. A lot of these toasty people love giving Donald Trump more of credit than he deserves. Because I constantly see Trump escalating. And he extended foreign policy. Yeah, he didn't start any new wars. He didn't start any new wars, but he wanted to. He tried to start the coup in Venezuela. He literally assassinated a general in Iran. Actually, I want to get into the story because I want to talk about it in the first place. Because I want people to see this. Because I see, there's a lot of people I have respect for. A lot of people I like who say, I'll see them say stuff like, at least Trump is less war hawk than Biden and Obama. What? So let me tweet this out because I advertise. If you guys are enjoying the stream or you guys want to support my show, please follow and subscribe if you're watching this as well. I appreciate you guys as always. And I did have my announcement that I'm gonna start this new program where if I have my subscribers, I want to bring them on my show because I'm a citizen journalist. I'm not an elitist. I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk to everyday people, and that's why I got my homies from the Black Rose Brigade. We come on here and we have a lot of fun because it's all about ordinary everyday people talking about politics. That's what my channel is all about. So if you haven't already, please subscribe because I want to bring my subscribers on my show. It's gonna be pretty awesome. But let them know. Discussing why anyone who pretends Donald Trump is anti-war is foolish. Thank you for the share. Thank you. Let me see. Toasty cracks are a cult. Sorry, not sorry. It all started because Nico had a crush on Toasty. I see a lot of Toasty people. They're kind of like AOC stands in a way because I actually see a lot of Toasty people that hate AOC. But you guys stand Toasty the same way you guys don't like the fact that AOC fans stand her. It's the same. I see them as very similar, believe it or not. AOC and Toasty people who believe they are beyond criticism. But anyway, like I said, there's like this section of the left that pretends they all, and I've seen it even during the campaign. They were like, well, and you got to understand, just a little bit. That's for the YouTube comment there. They will. I seen leftists attack Biden and Democrats. They'll say, "Well, I actually would prefer Trump to win because at least Trump is anti-war, or at least he do less war than the Democrat Party." And you gotta understand my position first before I get into this. A lot of you guys know I voted for the Green Party, and I was a Green Party voter. I didn't fall for the lesser two evils. That's not. I don't buy that because I think the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, I don't like when people say they're the same, but they're the same shade of evil. That's my argument. So my argument is whether I vote for Donald Trump or whether I vote for Joe Biden, both my community is still going to be ravaged. You're still going to see massive poverty. You're going to see massive income inequality, and you're going to see them warmongering. My position never was that Donald Trump is somehow a lesser warmonger than anyone else. And whenever I see anyone on the left bring that up, it would drive me crazy. Because he tried to coup Venezuela. He tried to start a war with Iran. And he literally killed an Iranian general. And 100% he expected them to escalate. So people saying that Trump didn't start any war. I mean, you can make the argument that it's good to have him in there because he's incompetent, so he can't start a war. But that's not the case. That's not the case. I didn't even tweet this out yet. Alright, so let me tweet it out now. So I'm diving into it now. Because this story came out this week. And this is just a trend of what we see. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate all y'all. And that was Megan there said, shit, don't even get me started on Yemen. And I criticized Democrats during the course of election. This is how I know they wasn't serious about resisting Trump. Because they never resist Trump on the right things. To me, the one thing that I always talk about people to get them not to like Trump is I'll bring up the fact that he literally vetoed a genocide. Literally vetoed a genocide. How can you say someone's anti-war when they veto a genocide? So, once again, if you're a leftist, you say that Trump is anti-war because he didn't start any wars. How can you say someone anti-war when he expanded on the wars that Obama did? You know, like, as you see the story here, this story, once again, is a part of the trend. It's part of the trend. Where he actually drone strike more people than Barack Obama. He actually escalated war in Africa. That's where he ramped up the drone strike. Obama started his drone war. I think that was Nigeria. And Trump ramped it up. Veto goes against, please expand. Yeah, because Bernie Sanders, the reason why I was a big supporter of Bernie Sanders is because he was anti-war. He don't have the perfect war record, but I think he learned from that. And I think he literally put a fantastic policy plan and he literally talked about ending these wars and these conflicts and changing our foreign policy to a foreign policy that's focused on climate crisis as our number one issue. But yeah, even talking about, vote against Trump because he's weak on imperialism. That was a lot of these people were saying. And it was being dead serious. Like, I don't understand how anyone on the left can fall for the right wing propaganda, because at the right wing propaganda, they was pushing that story that Trump is anti-war. Tucker Carlson was the number one pushing the idea. Tucker Carlson was the number one guy pushing the idea that Trump was anti-war. You have people on the left that was literally repeating Tucker Carlson talking points uncritically. It made no sense. And yeah, Brandon Bernard's his life do need to be saved. I was retweeting some hashtags on that, because that's the guy who was set to die, right? I didn't read that much into that story. I was just signal boosting whenever I see people talk about it. But yeah, that's definitely a big deal. Thank you for bringing that up. I envy me. So let's get into the story, because one thing that people never talk about, because Donald Trump was so bad with his drone strikes. His first year, he killed so many people with drones. Like he did, I think he easily outpaced Obama. So what he did is that he fought, and the Trump administration rolled back the requirement for them, for our government to report on war crimes. I mean, report on the amount of civilians that we kill with drones. So that was the Trump administration did. The Trump administration literally shut down counting civilian death counts, because that's how awful he's been. And now, you got this study right here. Once again, you got leftists all the time that want to praise Trump for wanting to get out of Afghanistan. He only want to do that because he knows he's getting out of office. He want to do that at all. And for one, it's not only that, because he actually haven't been doing the troop withdrawal. Like, he will do the same thing Barack Obama did. Like, imagine people falling for Barack Obama head fakes, because Barack Obama was talking about how he want to get everyone now, but he will lower the troop levels, put them back in. He will yo-yo the troop levels. Donald Trump did the same. He was talking about, we'll pull some truth. They pull a little bit of truth, and they bring it right back in. For the win all day, said Trump vetoed a bipartisan bill that both House and the Senate, that passed both the House and Senate, that would have stopped us from selling weapons to. Yeah, that's a good point. That would have stopped us from selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. He doesn't have an anti-imperialist bone in his body. That's a great comment on YouTube for the win all day. Yeah, that's literally when I talk to Trump supporters, the first thing I always say, because I told this story before when I got into an argument with a Trumper. I said, he was like, you un-American, you anti-socialist. This is when I was canvassing in South Carolina, and this Trump supporter was getting very upset with me because he thought I was socialist. He was like, you socialist, you un-American. I'm like, I'm un-American. This is literally my response. I'm like, you said I'm un-American. Meanwhile, Donald Trump literally is a Saudi Arabia puppet. He put the interests of Saudi Arabia over the interests of American people. But yet, I'm the Trump puppet? Someone explain to me how that makes sense. Like, Donald Trump does all the interest of... Oh, no, well, the chat is working. It's just, I got some comments that are coming on YouTube as well, because I'm on YouTube and I'm on Twitch. So I'm on YouTube and Twitch, so like I usually neglect the YouTube comments, but I'm gonna start reading them more often. I'm actually gonna tweet the YouTube link out, because a lot of people don't see the YouTube version. A lot of them don't see the YouTube version. So let me tweet the YouTube version of my stream out. Cause a lot of people, I think they want to watch these, but they don't watch Twitch. So I'm on both. Live right now taking. Well, I'm gonna say live right now discussing. Actually, what should I put on YouTube? I'll say just ask me anything on Share Some Stories. I don't know. I'm still getting used to this whole promotion thing. Cause I'm trying to grow. Please, I'm very excited because I'm at 75 subscribers. So if you're on Twitch, I just need 25 more to help hit my goal. To have 100 by end December. If you're on YouTube, keep doing your thing. I think I'm at like 2,800, but I can always go on YouTube. Oh wait, where I posted the wrong link. Oh no, I didn't. I think I'm good. Yeah, what's up, my homie? Watch on YouTube. So let's actually break down the story because I actually haven't gotten into it yet. I was just ranting how anyone that said that Trump is anti-war is full of shit. So this is actually the details, right? A new study from the Cost of War Project at Brown University finds that civilian death toll in Afghanistan has skyrocketed under President Trump. Trump relaxed military. Oh, it is. I'm glad they linked this. I think this is the story I was talking about. The one where he actually made it so they can't report on civilian death strike. Hopefully that's what they're saying there. Man, why this thing got going kind of slow. I also want to cover this story too. Biden's meeting with the civil rights movement leaders. So I'm gonna save that. Hold up, why is this thing so long to load? Hopefully how's the stream, guys? Is the stream going good? I mean, is it smooth? So let me continue reading it. I don't know why it's not loading, right? I really hope my internet don't come out. Oh yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Highbury, AFC Seoul. He said drone strikes increased by 420% under Trump. Yep. So he never at any point been anti-war. Never at any point. And that's literally one of the things I always bring up whenever I hear people say that. I'm like, how you can say Trump anti-war when he literally increasing drone strikes, the thing that we criticized Obama for doing? I'm trying to find that URL that you just sent me. I don't know if I typed it wrong, but it said page can't be found. You see, I just typed in the link that you sent me. IMV me. All right, let's finish this. So a new study at Cost of War Project at Brown University finds the civilian death toll in Afghanistan has skyrocketed under President Donald Trump. Trump relaxed military. See, I don't know why that's not loading. I was trying to get those to load. So I'm like, bro, hopefully my stream don't cut out. Yeah, he relaxed authoritarian rules. The number of civilian killed by international airstrikes increased about 330% from 2016, the last full year of Obama administration, to 2019, the most recent year for with their complete data by United Nations. Oh shit, dude. Hopefully my stream will just cut out. Dude, you see this? So the stream's still working, right? Is the stream still working? What? It seems like the stream's still working. But why none stuff loading? Are you kidding me? So the stream's working, but for some reason my browser is being weird. My browser is being weird. Come on, we gotta finish that story. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let me just retry it. Cause my Twitch is pulling up. Is it Daily Beast? Actually, I think that's the Daily Beast. What? I think that's what? What is happening? Anyway, hope I can get through this. Going back even further, between 2016 and 2017, U.S. Afghan government forces killed an average of 582 civilians each year, a number that rose by nearly 95% from 2017 to 2019. When an average of 1,134 civilians were killed annually, even after the U.S. Taliban peace deal. Yeah, they're pretty much going to detail how all the people that we killed. So, if you think Trump is anti-war on the left, please, for fuck's sake, read. Like, start reading news. Actually, pay attention to what Trump is doing. He said that's not your browser. Yeah, I know. I just figured it out. Yeah, I'm glad we got software engineer in chat. He also went after regime change in Venezuela. Let's not forget mercenaries connected directly to Trump organization attempted a Bay of Pigs style insurrection. I agree. That's a great comment. And at what point do you say he's added a war? You know what I mean? Because so if you're doing military attacks like that, if you are trying to assassinate an Iranian general, I mean, you didn't create a new conflict, but you did an active conflict, right? Yeah, I'm glad that Jimmy Dore had my tweets on there. He's a real one. He's a real one. I don't get platformed by a lot of people kind of too raw, but me and Jimmy, we got the same energy. Eric Johnson said, I thought you was gonna say read theory. That's always a good idea. But one thing I always advocate for is some reason a lot of leftists they think theory is stuff that old white people wrote in like the 19th century. When they bring up theory, they never talk about like W.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, MLK. These are the kind of people, the theory I love to read. He hasn't started any new wars, but he sure as hell escalated with them. Yeah, I mean, he's doing active war. If he's doing acts of war, I see no reason why to give him the benefit of the doubt saying he hasn't started any new conflict, right? So we can get ready for the next story, because let's roll through these stories, and actually let me see if I can find anything live, because I ain't seen anything, any live news recently. We are here. Let me know if you guys got any stories to share. Any links for those? I remember that stream where you read a little bit of Du Bois. Yeah. W.B. Du Bois is one of my favorite people to read. I read the whole book of Socialism and the American Negro. I need to read more of W.B. Du Bois because he's amazing. I feel like black leftist theory is not really included that much when people talk about theory. When I talk about theory, I talk about Fred Hampton as well. I'm a black leftist through and through. I want to see people that actually know our struggle we've been through and still come to the left. Right? So I think we should, let's find. I got a few more stories. Let me go through the stories. Let me run to the restroom real quick, guys. I've been drinking a lot of water. I'll be right back. 1 second. I'm back. Back in no time. Man, my mic is too good, man. How do y'all hear that? That's crazy. That's crazy. My bad, y'all. My bad. I had the door closed and everything. This mic is too powerful. I apologize for that. Highbury AFC Soul. I agree with the left on policy, but I'm no socialist. I'm a pro-life social democrat since I'm also a Catholic, but I'm a Yang and Bernie supporter. That's fair. I don't get. What's your thoughts on Medicare for all? What are your thoughts on income inequality? Like, I care more about policy than what people label themselves. So my problem with Yang is that he didn't support Medicare for all. So I don't get that's something that I have a hard time getting over that. The fact that he didn't support Medicare for all. But I don't understand the whole pro-life thing because, I mean, we specifically have separation of church and state in our government. And that's a very important ideology to continue to uphold. And as a libertarian socialist, you wanting to use the government to stop other women from doing what they want to do for their body is ridiculous to me. So if I had a ideology that required you to do something, will you be happy about that? So think about that kind of stuff. If you're pro-life and if you're religious, practice that in your life. Stop trying to tell other people what to do. It makes no sense. That's my stance on the abortion issue, and that's like one of the first political issues I reached, because as a black American who had authoritarian governments go after our community, I'm not interested in governments telling us what to do. I'm not interested in that. So anyone who's pro-life, you're too authoritarian for me. Like, how are you gonna tell people what to do with their life? Like, you really think the government should have that power? You really think the government should have that power? And then think about the social consequences of having people being forced to have kids when they're not ready, when they're not financially ready. It's not even a good way to run your society. So I implore you to think about that. So when it comes to run society, you gotta make sure you run society correctly. I get if you're pro-life and that's against your religion, but once again, we got separated church and state. So you shouldn't be able to tell people what they do with their lives. And then on the merits of how this affects society, how would having a ton of women having children when they're not financially ready, when they're not in a good situation, when they're teenagers, how does that benefit? How does that benefit society? It doesn't make sense to me. He's on for you for good policy, so at least we got your vote on those good policies. At least luckily the abortion issue is handled, and I don't think you're gonna be voting on that. So I know someone who's pro-life, that man in South Carolina who was a conservative who she liked Bernie Sanders. I'm like, well, you're not gonna act on it, so fuck it. But it just I just make authoritarianism make my skin crawl, and in order to enforce pro-life religious beliefs, you gotta be authoritarian. You gotta believe in theocracy, which I strongly disagree with. So on that issue, I got strongly put back. But it seems like you got policy positions in all the right areas. That's a good comment by Dilly Fred. He says, so if you want to make abortion illegal, are you going to investigate every single miscarriage? That's a good question. Actually, all the time I've been debunking abortion, I literally never thought about that. That's amazing. Because you have to do that, right? Every time a woman had miscarriage, like, oh, what if that was abortion? And then if she did have an abortion, but she said it was a miscarriage, what's the point of your law? Because that means it shows that it's a law that's hard to enforce. Right? And for people on Twitch that confused, I'm talking to one people on YouTube. He said, that same guy said, I hate the pro-life community since there are a bunch of theocrats. I don't like, it seems like, I don't know if I'm, like, you agree with that, right? So, I think maybe I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you saying you pro-life in your personal life, but not pro-life politically? Because I can agree with that. I don't think people should be able to tell people what they should do with their body. Period. And once again, like I said, I've always been a libertarian to at the end of the day. And that's my first priority. I became anti-authoritarian before I became a leftist. Like some of my first positions was, okay, the government should be able to tell me if I should smoke weed or not. The government shouldn't be able to tell women whether they should have abortions or not. The government shouldn't be able to tell gay people whether they should get married. Like, these are like the first opinions that I had without even reading about politics and political theory, because I'm libertarian inherently. I don't think authority should be able to control our lives. If it's not hurting anyone, stay out. And I did a segment yesterday about how I convert right wingers because I outflank them. Because what do libertarian right wingers always say? I want a small government that don't tread on me. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on me. Meanwhile, you guys supporting politicians that implement national spying programs on their civilians. Meanwhile, you guys supporting politicians that are pushing for the drug war. So I just point that out to them and let them know that they're being a hypocrite unless they change their political beliefs. But remember that 30%, the 30% of the American people are not being moved, but people underestimate the amount of people that, like, oh damn, that's actually a good point. I run into those people all the time. And then anyone saying it's pro-birth, that's exactly what it is. At least the other guy, to give him credit, the pro-life guy in the YouTube comments, because he was a pro-life leftist, which I think is weird. But I don't think he meant that in terms of a government forcing them to be pro-life. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to misrepresent him. See, this is when he coming right back. So I guess in the essence, I kind of am. To be frank, this country is getting more leftist by the day, so more liberal and leftist politicians will be voted in to protect Roe. So I think that you saying that you're actually like politically pro-choice, which once again I have no problem with that. If you are pro-life, be pro-life in your personal life. Like don't like strongly advocate for your friends not to have abortions. You don't have abortion, but once you try to put government power into that, you lose me. That word religious loses me. Like you got religious people all over this country that trying to tell people how to live. They so busy telling people how to live. They so worried about gay marriage. They don't care that the government is literally stealing from them. And historically, religion is how authority and power is able to maintain power. That's a rant for another day, though. And the thing is, I envy me say you can't be leftist if you're pro-life. I'll push back on that slightly a little bit. Once again, if you are libertarian minded and you live pro-life in your personal life, but then like the other guy I'm talking to on YouTube, he say he support Medicare for all, UBI, Green New Deal, social programs. Those people can at least say they're pro-life, but they're like, all right, I want to make sure every child is born and make sure they're taken care of. But the Republicans, they are pro-life. They are rank hypocrites. They only care about birth, and like George Carlin Legend said, and when it's stand-ups, they want more kids born so they can have more dead soldiers. So how you call them pro-life? Like they get born and they want to cut a social assistance program for them. So you literally are forcing an ideology of poverty. That's what the Republican Party and that what conservatives believe. They want everyone to be born, but they want to cut social programs for the people who are financially unable to have a child. Once again, I mean, what's good for your society? Is that good for your society? What kind of society are you guys trying to build? I don't understand people who get in politics who get into politics but literally they don't care whether they actually improve lives. They just want to push their personal belief on people. Like those people are my enemy. Historically, they've always been the enemy of justice and revolution and liberation. So that's how I want to break it down to anyone who pro-life. Once again, and my earlier segment I did when I talked about how I talk to conservatives. I talk to them like, even if you're pro-life, how are you going to say you small government, but you think the government should literally clamp down and investigate every single miscarriage to deem, I love that argument, to deem that it's whether it's abortion or not. Is there anywhere we can watch you fight? Have you done any professional MMA bouts? I haven't done any pro. I have a few amateur. I have a tape of one of my videos and one of them on YouTube as well. I had sparring videos that was on YouTube, but they got corrupted because it was they came out like 2010. I looked at it and they said the video not available. Like what? But I got some videos on. I still got some sparring videos, but they're like when I was a beginner. They're not anywhere near where I'm at right now. Dan B said, "Boss the Senate, ranked choice voting, more candidates and third parties." That's how you fix our democracy right there. Saw a conservative on I envy me say I saw a conservative who got mad that on the news because AOC said she want to change America. Why wouldn't you want to change America? Exactly. Doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, so how dare you try to make life better for people? The amount of suffering right now is the amount of suffering that I like and the amount of suffering that I am comfortable with. That's literally that conservative and that neoliberal ideology. The amount of suffering that is going on right now is the amount of suffering that I'm comfortable with. Because think about points in human history. Once again, a lot of people that watch my show know I love history. If the people who was against the civil rights movement in the 60s, which was like 77% of white people, which a lot of people like to forget. If you ask them in the 60s, the amount of suffering that was happening pre-civil rights movement was acceptable for them. Before we abolished slavery. The amount of suffering that was going on before we abolished slavery was acceptable to the moderate. Before we gave suffrage for women to allow women to vote. At that time, the moderate position was like, well, the women not being able to vote that's the society I'm okay with. That's the inherent flaw of conservatism. Essentially, them saying I'm okay with where flaws my society is right now. It never makes sense to me. Anyone who identifies as a proud or lifelong Democrat or Republican loses my respect since they're tribal partisan hacks. Dude, my Twitter is literally all about exposing the fact that Democrats are just as Cody as Republicans. They literally worship and elevate their politicians to celebrities to the point where I don't even see the Republican Party do that. Actually, I mean, they love Trump, and Trump is going to be the exception of that rule. But if you look at George Bush, if you look at Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich, a lot of the other politicians, when they get out of office, they are out of office. They're out of public spotlight. Meanwhile, in the Democrat Party, look at who got the Hulu and Netflix deals. Barack Obama getting Netflix deals. He's doing tours. He living that superstar celebrity lifestyle he's been looking for his entire life. Hillary Clinton got Hulu shows. Like every time these Democrat people retire, they just become a pop star. They become in the public spotlight. And they love them. The liberals love them. And you guys seen them interact with me on Twitter. They get upset when you bring up factual things about them. They have, just like MAGA, they have no coherent ideology except that we must stand the politicians of our party. Thank you for the follow. Perceptor. Nice name. If you're enjoying the stream, please follow, subscribe. I only need 25 subscribers to hit my goal to get 100 for the end of the month. It'd be crazy. 22 at the beginning of December. I'm at I think I'm going to get there, but we need to keep it up. I'm at 77 now. 75 now. My goal is to get 100 for the end of the year, so I only need 25 more. So if you're new to the stream, subscribe, please. And for people on YouTube, I'm talking about Twitter. I'm talking about Twitch. But if I get 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, that'd be pretty fire too. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi is their idol. They love Nancy Pelosi, and she is one of the most corrupt public servants in the world, period. Not in just America. And her leadership, she's been in leadership for decades. Her leadership is directly responsible for why we're in this mess right now. Nancy Pelosi being in leadership for as long as she has been, has done irreparable damage to our country. A shield for healthcare lobbyists. She is responsible for the Democratic Party being selling out because she was the head fundraiser. So she encourages culture of corporatism within the Democratic Party. She's complicit with torture. She was briefed on torture in the George Bush administration, but didn't blow the whistle. She supported every single war that we ever been into. She was supportive of the coup in Venezuela, the coup in Bolivia. She supported the court bailout during the Obama administration. She pushed the court bailouts this time around. She refused to take the deal, which would have got Americans stimulus checks. I mean, just like Joe Biden, almost every single thing that the U.S. government has done wrong is directly because of Nancy Pelosi and her being in House leadership since 2006. But liberals love her. How is that not a code? How is that not a code, guys? Let me get to some of these stories, because I always get on these ranting. Highbury AFC so say anti-war stimulus checks. Yeah, he pretty much talking about how bipartisanship is bad. Yeah, whenever Democrats and Republicans come together and bipartisanship, it's to screw you. And actually, that's a good way to get into this, because I wanted to discuss, because Biden was even asked about executive authority, and the theory that a lot of progressives had was, okay, so we know that Joe Biden would be awful, but at least Joe Biden will be able to do potentially progressive executive orders that would be amazing, right? That was like their big, okay, this is our way to justify voting for Joe Biden. We at least gonna get good executive orders, right? Nope. Joe Biden literally just came out today and was like, the progressive movements want me to use all these executive orders to get all this done, but I believe in using the power of the Senate. I think we shouldn't go past the Senate. And do you guys know what that is code for? The Senate is controlled by Republicans and Mitch McConnell. So if he's saying that everything's gonna have to go through the Senate and the House, without him doing even the basic executive actions like legalizing weed and doing canceling student loan, which he can do at a stroke of a pen. He can cancel student loan just like that. He's not gonna do none of this stuff. He wanted everything to go to the House Senate, and since the Senate is controlled by Republicans, that effectively means that every single bill that they're going to pass is going to be a right-wing bill. Joe Biden is openly right-wing. He's fiscally conservative, and he's going to be happy about that. So I hope you guys are happy. I hope the progressive movement is happy. You guys openly supported and got a Republican, someone who's going to legislate like a Republican passed. So this is what Alex Thompson tweeted out. This came from Ryan Grimm. The executive authority that my progressive friends talk about is way out of bounds. Now this is him going into detail. So there's something I'm going to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is, I'm not going to do what I used to do. Vanita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates when you had some people that say, on day one, I'm going to have an executive order to do this. Not within the congressional authority. I am not going to violate the Constitution. Executive authority is what my progressive friends talk about is way out of bounds. So this is him literally saying, I'm not going to be one of the people that say on day one I'm going to do anything. Because all the other good candidates, like Bernie Sanders, he was saying, on day one, I'm going to cancel student loan debt. On day one, I'm going to legalize marijuana. Because you can do all this stuff with executive order. And then the people who was advocating for voting for Joe Biden, they was like, well, at least he can use the executive orders to get the progressive legislation done. He's openly saying he's not going to do that. Right? And this is why I posted in response to this. The ratchet effect. I mean, a lot of people on the left know what this is. The ratchet effect is what how we got so far right, and this is how the rich get richer. So what happens is you get a far right authoritarian, you get far right corporate backed sellout, Donald Trump, George Bush, for example. They move the country super to the right, and then when the Democrats get in charge, they maybe reverse like one or two things they did. But then the country stayed to the right. And this is what you see with Joe Biden. Megan there brought the Christmas tree, Kamala Harris. Yep. Yeah, and that what Highbury Soul said. The best part of Biden administration will be the first few weeks when he does the few executive orders he want to do. After that, A1's going to be left to starve. Because he's not going to be able to do anything. He said Chuck Schumer is pushing for him to cancel 50K, so don't write it off. I believe when I see it. Because I did my breakdown on how military recruiters get people to join the military and they lie to them. And one of the reasons why I don't ever see the warmongers ever making college free, one of the reasons why they didn't want to make college free, because if you make college free, you kill military recruitment. So I think that's what he's done. I don't think they're actually going to make student loans free. If they do the student loan, Joe Biden floated the idea of doing $10,000, which effectively really doesn't do much. Doesn't really do much. Because if you look at the people who got the... Let me put it like this. So, if you only cut in $10,000 of student loans, but we paying monthly, and you got an outstanding balance that much more than that, like most Americans do, you're not really doing anything that effectively change anything. There's some people that's still gonna struggle. Yeah, Highbury also brought up how Medicare for all can be enacted by executive order. Yeah. That's something that a lot of progressives have been talking about recently because we're in the midst of a pandemic. He can use his emergency powers as president to implement Medicare for all. Let's see what our next story is. Appreciate the follow, Red Productions. Appreciate that. Thank you. And feel free to ask me anything, sharing stories that you guys want me to discuss as well. I'm having a good time so far. Today not going to be a super long stream. Maybe we could do another story or so. But we already about an hour in. These things kind of fly by to me. It's kind of crazy. Oh, this is a story. This is the one I was trying to find earlier. What is Joe Biden gonna do about this? Nearly 12 million renters will owe $5,800 by back rent and utilities by early January. How, like, our economy is gonna crash. I mean, it already crashed, but people don't even realize how bad it's gonna get. Like, we literally at the start, because the moratorium for rent expired on the 31st, which is gonna lead to million. I think the number is 19 million people losing their homes. And throughout the course of this election and throughout any of the debates, this is something I've been raging about on Twitter. Despite the fact that we got this homelessness crisis that's happening right now and around the corner, it's going to get worse. There wasn't one question at any of the debates about the homelessness crisis. And I pay attention. Not one time, not one tweet, not one speech had Joe Biden ever mentioned the homelessness crisis. The government not acting on this, there's really good arguments to be made of state violence. Because now we're in the winter. You got a ton of Americans that freeze to death every year in the winter. And we've seen a homelessness crisis we never seen before. So imagine this homelessness crisis and the national tragedy, that amount of people that die each year because they're homeless. We're gonna see some crazy stuff in 2021. Like, people talking about how bad 2020 is. I'm sorry to break to you guys. I don't see it getting any better in 2021. Because that's actually when that's when the economy actually gonna crash even more. Right? And even once we get this pandemic under control, we still have the climate crisis. This is gonna happen. Joe Biden don't support the Green New Deal. He doesn't support banning fracking. In his climate plan, they don't reach the required lowered emission level that the scientists say you got to use to stop it. And climate change, I said it during the primaries, and I actually meant it, is a no middle ground issue. You either believe the scientists and you act upon the scientists, or you're a climate change denier. Because back in the day, climate change denial was people on the right, and even some Democrats saying that climate change wasn't real. Even some Republicans admit that climate change is real now. That's not the hurdle to pass. What makes you a climate change denier or not is whether you actually believe we should act in the way the scientists do. Check this out. It's only going to get worse than this. In November, the hottest month on record. We're breaking records every month in terms of how high it is. And this is the comment I left under that. Because the right-wingers, they don't care about fighting climate change. Because at this point, I said that there's even some right-wing people that will acknowledge the climate change is a thing. But what Ben Shapiro and what a lot of these right-wingers say, yeah, climate change is a thing, but we can't slow down humanity in our innovation in order to address it. We just got to deal with it. We got to live with it. This is something that we just got to be part of our society now. We just got to deal with the consequences of climate change. But I'm like, do you guys understand? Like, there's large sections filled with a dense human population all across the world that are going to be uninhabitable for human life. Entire sub-Saharan Africa. You're going to have places in the Middle East. By 2050, scientists say there are not going to be human life be able to live there. So we're going to see a refugee crisis the likes human history have never seen before. Because there's going to be giant areas on Earth where people can't live no more. That will we live for millions of years or 100,000 years. Right? So you guys are anti-immigrant and you're anti-refugee and you don't want these people to come to your country. But by you ignoring climate change, you literally going to create a refugee crisis where they will have no choice. Governments will either have to force to take them in, or you're going to see a ramping up of terrorism. And I'll never forget, in 2016, Bernie Sanders was locked at the debates. And then later, scientists backed him up because they asked him what you think the number one security threat to America is. And he said climate change. And then everyone was like, hey, how can you say climate change? We got terrorists, we got all this stuff going on. And everyone was like, no, hold up. Bernie was right. Because you know what caused the rise of terrorism? Just like crime in the U.S. Terrorism is easier to recruit terrorists in the Middle East when they live in poverty, when they have no economic potential or a way to climb up, or they don't have a good standard of living. These are the people that the terrorist cells recruit, and they are easy to be radicalized. Now, what happened because of the climate crisis? A lot of these, like especially in the Middle East, you got a lot of people in Afghanistan, you got a lot of people in Yemen, you got a lot of these people in these Middle Eastern countries that rely on farming. And the climate crisis, there's studies that have been done by this. The climate crisis had done so much damage to farming and fishing communities in these areas that they literally led more people to go into terrorism, more people to become radicalized, because poverty and extremism is linked. So Bernie Sanders was right, and right wingers who don't take climate change seriously, not only are they adding the fuel to fire to increase terrorism, you literally have a refugee crisis and immigration crisis, and like we've never seen before, which you guys don't want to happen. And to be frank, when you got that many people that need to move around, we're gonna see a massive humanitarian crisis one way or another. Because they're not gonna be like, oh, I guess you guys not letting us in our country. Too bad. You guys are against illegal immigration. Like, you guys are pushing ideologies that are gonna lead to legal immigration to the level we never seen before. And then when governments crack down on them, which they probably will to a certain point, at a certain point, it's gonna lead to even harsher ideology and more terrorist attacks. That's just one aspect of climate change. I didn't even get into the oceanification of the water and how that, once again, how that devastates fishing markets, how that going to devastate the quality of water. And once again, there have been studies that have been directly linked to stories like Flint, Michigan, and the quality of water in America and across the world is dropping because you get additional CO2 and toxic in the water, and there's not much that people can really do to stop that, except the ruling class. Because what happens? Once again, the people that are lower class, the working class, we fail because rich people, they get nice purification water systems, but people in Flint, Michigan, they can't do that. People in disenfranchised communities can't do that. Once again, in the South, they're having massive water problems where you can't drink the water out. I want people to understand, this is directly a result of climate change. Studies show this. And it's only going to get worse. And because as I laid out right now, because Joe Biden, his big thing is, we're going to get into the Paris Climate Agreement. The Paris Climate Agreement, that's going to help us solve climate change. I broke down on my show. Actually, why not pull it up again? There was only like 15-20% of the countries was following the Paris Climate Agreement. You guys understand that, right? So even if Joe Biden said we're going to get a Paris Climate Agreement, without a strong leader, worldwide leader that will enforce that will try and get countries to play ball, it literally means nothing. And that was a big part of Bernie's foreign policy. Bernie Sanders said, instead of us being a pro-war country, he wanted our foreign policy to be exclusively focused on addressing the climate crisis. Meanwhile, Joe Biden wants to spend the military. Like, this is that's just one of the things I was talking about. But Joe Biden said he wanted to be serious about fighting climate change. That's what they're going to do. But as I point out in this tweet right here, unless you cut the military budget, the Green Party said 70%. I can be lenient. If you don't support cutting it by at least 50%, you waste your time. I covered this on my show before. The U.S. military pollutes more than 100 countries. So how can Joe Biden be serious about the climate crisis when he want to increase the military budget? Unless you cut the military budget drastically, we are not going to be able to control CO2 emissions. Period. Let me see if I can find the story about the Paris Climate Agreement. I want to read and tell you guys the numbers. Thank you for the subscription, May. I appreciate it. You one of the first people I get on the show too, because like I said, I'm gonna do that subscriber event where I'm gonna have my top tier subscribers call in so you guys can get on the show. So I am shared this. I don't have to be on. Nick watched this one day. Let's see what is it she shared. Hopefully, you didn't send me porn.
Over the last decade.
Damn it.
Comcast has connected 4 million low-income students to
Let's let the
low-cost,
ad play.
high-speed Xfinity internet.
So
And now we're
this
turning
is
1,000
from
community centers into
Watch the U.S. stall on
Wi-Fi-enabled
climate
safe
change for
spaces
12
to
years
study, so
that
more
we just sent me.
students can be ready for
I ain't seen this. Let's check it out.
I've been trying to tell this story for 30 years. And
This is a 12-minute video. I don't know if I can watch it all right now, but let's watch a quick clip of it.
At first, month by month and week by week. Now there are studies every day practically. And it just keeps getting clearer and stronger.
America's on the verge of technological breakthroughs that will enable us to live our lives less dependent on oil. And these technologies will help us be better stewards of the environment. And they will help us to confront the serious challenge of global climate change.
Now to a new report on global warming from a prestigious panel of scientists convened by the UN. The findings are blunt. Climate change is happening. It will lead to tremendous changes around the world that could have a very negative...
So I see. So this is like a compilation of like them acknowledging that they're gonna do something about climate change and nothing ever happening. Like this video is amazing because they're showing literally the global temperature raise and the Arctic sea ice level while they are pretending they care about climate change.
There is global warming, and that humans...
See, look, this is Rudy Giuliani. He even admits that climate change is a thing, and he's a far right winger. Like once again, they all know it's a thing. It's whether you believe we should act or not, whether you believe we should actually change our society. Our society is simply not sustainable. And this is a great opportunity because we can restructure our society. The whole point of the Green New Deal, what the right wingers don't like, because they're like, "Oh, it should be just a climate change. How are you gonna try to implement a socialist country?" The Green New Deal is a way for us to completely transform our society, but actually increase quality of life by having failed job programs, investing in green technologies, have economic mobility and equality that will help us fight climate change. Have people be able to help fight the crisis by being educated. Like there's so many angles of Green New Deal taking place that not only fight climate change, but transfer our society to be a society that we can be happy to live under. But that's what Republicans are against for some reason. So that's kind of what I appreciate you sharing that. I watched the full one on next stream. There's a long video, so we watched the whole 12 minutes. Maybe tomorrow's stream, but that's a good little intro to that. That's incredible. He said I can't mute Rudy Giuliani on Twitter because I want to know when he dies. Thank you, man. You're the best. I appreciate that. Because you've been one of the earlier supporters on here, so I appreciate you subscribing and supporting the show. Rudy's DMs are open. Over Bev said, y'all been following you on Twitter for a while. Love your account. Cool to see you on here. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I need to advertise more because it's crazy. Almost every single time I'll jump on stream, despite the fact that I got 53,000 followers, people be like, I didn't even know you streamed. Come on, I don't advertise enough. So that's what I've been doing. Trying to focus on increasing and growing throughout. Once again, I'm very happy because at this point I got 20 days left. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit my goal of hitting 200 subscribers before end of the year. And then we're just going to keep growing from there. Then I'm going to set a goal before my birthday because my birthday is January 30th. So I definitely got to set a goal for that. So let's see. What have we missed? Because I haven't had any breaking news. Because I think we only do 90 minutes today. We almost done. You said I found you in the recommended channels on Twitch. Nice. I'm on recommended channels now. That's pretty cool. Maybe I should tweet this stream out again because it's been like 30 minutes or so. Let me find a story in real time. We can break that down. If you guys have any story you want to share, let's do that. Oh, look at this. This is my friend shared. Look at this. Look at this. Hold up. I gotta show you guys this. Your birthday is January 12th, Meg? Oh yeah, we definitely gotta have a birthday stream, a cold birthday stream. Look at this. This is my good friend Mel. Well, sorry for giving Chi. This is liberals in a nutshell. Someone was complaining. Pretty much the first comment is about how someone complained like, "Hey, why can't we get healthcare?" And then this broken brain partisan said, "Barack Obama gave you healthcare through Obamacare. You only find excuses to criticize the first person of color president because your racism, like all other far left partisans." So he's saying that anyone who criticized Barack Obama was racist. So my homie Dave Anthony said he didn't give people health care because my cousin died in Idaho because he didn't have health care. And this is the liberal response you get. And this is why they're just like conservatives. They don't give a fuck. She said, your cousin should have worked harder to afford health care. Now, I gotta ask you guys, what's the difference between this and the Republican? Because that's what a Republican would say. A Republican would be like, oh, well, you should have health care. You should have pulled it yourself by your bootstraps and give yourself health care. That point aside, do you see how she contradicted herself? At first she said Obama gave us health care, and then his friend, my friend Dave Anthony, pointed out how he didn't because people literally died under Obama. He gave her a personal anecdote of someone he knows who died, his cousin, and then she's like, oh, well, he should work harder. What is it? Did Obama give us health care or not? If he gave us health care, what do you mean he had to work harder in order to get it? Either you give your citizens health care or you didn't. You know how many people in other countries die because they didn't work hard enough to get health care? 0. Now, all the westernized countries, most of the countries in the world, period. You're not seeing people die because they don't have like a health care. And she getting dragged bad, but she don't care because I'm pretty sure like when I see these profiles, I see the name Resistance Queen. It's obvious that that's someone who they're either a bot farm or they want to troll on behalf of the Democrat Party. But this is what they're about. This is what they really believe. The Democrat Party can do no good, can do no bad. It's a cult no different than the cult of Trump. Obama gave y'all guys health care. Actually, no, he didn't. Well, you should have worked harder to get health care. What is your ideology? Do you believe people should have health care or not? Do you believe people have health care or not? Fuck's sakes. So I want to share that with you guys. Let's rip about these. Let's riff on these crazy people. Actually, let me read some of the response to that because that's Slay Queen. I don't want people to have health care. Slay Queen. Yeah, this person said these people really are in the wrong party. They're not in the wrong party. The party they do the same thing. She's not in the wrong party. She's in the right party. The Democrat Party don't care about people down about health care. Because I proposed this question today. I'm glad I did well, and I've been proposing it throughout the course of the primary. And once again, to show how the media is complicit with the Democratic Party. The media is complicit with the Democratic Party because have you ever heard one reporter ask Joe Biden this question? Joe Biden says he thinks that every American that get COVID-19, we should cover for their treatment because it's so cruel for us to have someone go bankrupt because they got COVID. It's not their fault. They will literally say it during the speech. It's not their fault they got COVID-19. So Joe Biden, if you think we should cover the treatment of people who got COVID-19, why don't you think we should cover the treatment of someone who had cancer? Did the person who got cancer, did they deserve to go bankrupt? Did they deserve to not have health care because of cancer? I guarantee you, if someone asked Joe Biden that question live, without him getting fed that answer beforehand, even if he got fed that answer beforehand, he probably would refuse the interview. But if he got asked that question immediately, he will literally, his brain will fry. And he will give us a sound clip that will hurt him. But once again, they don't get asked these tough questions because they're protected for that same reason. They don't want them to harm their reputation. Megan said to them, access is the same as giving them healthcare. That's exactly like people are starting to realize the whole access to healthcare is bullshit. Because when you say access to healthcare, you're still leaving something out. What if the person can't afford that access? I have access to a Lamborghini. I have access to a mansion. Can I afford a mansion? Can I afford a Lamborghini? No. So the Democrats are so good This is the problem. They are so goddamn good at propaganda. They are so goddamn good at talking and getting people to think they care about them. So they were like, yeah, I think every American should have access to healthcare. And they were like, yes, Democrats are for healthcare. Once again, the exit polls, even in states where Joe Biden defeated Bernie Sanders, it was like a 65 to 35 margin of people who said we should have Medicare for all. So how do people, and once again, the exit poll on the general election showed that 72% of American people think we should have Medicare for all. So what did that tell you? That tells you that the American people believe we should have healthcare as a human right, but they are voting for people who don't. They are voting for someone who said that he would veto Medicare for all. So that means the people aren't on our side. They are being fooled by the politicians by the way they speak. And that's why I do what I do on Twitter. That's why people ask me, why are you so mad all the time? That's why I'm trying to explain to people why shit is not getting, not only they're not getting better, things are getting worse. We have regressed as a society, and people pretend we advanced because we got cool toys. We got. Hey, look, I got this iPhone, so we advance as a society. Even though I can't raise a kid, like you realize, like people back in the 50s, they can get out of high school, get a factory job, and they can raise a family. I had never had any interest in having a kid because I'm like, bro, I don't want to raise a kid. I can barely fucking feed myself. I don't want to bring a child into this world in poverty. That's been my mindset. But now there have been studies done. There have been stories and studies done that showing that people are opting to not have kids because of climate crisis and because of their economic situation. People are not, and even if they do have kids, you gotta have both parents as breadwinners. Back in the day, you can have one breadwinner and raise a family of 4 or 5 because of the way inflation worked. You have peasants that lived, like, once again, we look at like old days in China. We look at old days in Europe, and we be like, okay, that society is underdeveloped. Okay, but you can be a working person in that society and feed yourself. You could raise a family. You can buy property. You can own a home. So, yes, they didn't have the toys we did, but the standard of life is literally decreasing. The standard of life compared to the 50s for the average American family has decreased. We regressed as a society, and then our ruling class used the toys to convince that we actually move forward. You know what I mean? Like, let me get that's a good comment about simple average person. Send them to college and afford to buy your own house and car. Now everyone is deep in debt when doing the same thing. Yep, exactly. Back in the day, you can go to college. You only have crumbs that you had to owe. Like, actually, they used to have free public college for the longest. Back in the day, you can go to college, get a good job, raise your family, live a nice standard of life. I broke this down before. Let me see if I can find it again. I think I'm gonna have a hard time finding it. Damn, yeah, I'm struggling to see where I should search to find it. But I literally covered this on my show where they literally did studies, and this like ever since the 50s, ever since the silent generation, the generation after that been worse off in terms of money made based on rate of inflation. But this doesn't tell us anything new because we all know income inequality got out of control. But this study didn't even reach millennial Gen X. It just showed that Gen X had it worse than their family, and their kids had it worse than that. But they're not even going to the new generation right now, because that study was as of 2015, 2016, and they did like a 25-year study. So it's literally proving that quality of life is dropping. In America, people wonder why I say America is a failed state. America is the only westernized country, well, I should say major westernized country, out of the G8 countries, where the standard of living, the quality of the life expectancy is dropping. It's been dropping for the last few years. I can rant all day about why this is a failed state. Let me get to the comments. I can rant all day. Consumer debt is the only thing keeping this zombie economy going. Yep, and that's one thing that got me radicalized. When I started listening to Chris Hedges, when I started listening to Dr. Cornel West, and they actually explained how our economy works and how this shit is not real. We all know money is not real, right? We all know it's something that humanity invented, but there was an economic theory behind it, right? And why we can't overinflate and all that kind of stuff. But now we see how the government will literally print money to give to corporations. And they literally rely on debt in order to finance our economy. Without debt, our economy is not able to be financed. So, once again, I'm a dummy. You need to listen to one of the top tier economics break this down, because like when you actually hear them explain, as you mentioned, everything is ran on debt. Everything is ran on debt. You realize that our quality of life don't have to be where it is right now. You can literally have our society with the amount of riches that we have and have a high quality life for every citizen. Everything that we do right now is by choice. Poverty in America is by choice. I'm broken down numbers plenty of time on my show. I mean, Jeff Bezos can pay every single Amazon worker $200,000 a year, and he was still making an insane amount of money. So I don't remember the stats on the top of my head, but I think he can still make X amount of money while doing that, and still be a billionaire easily. So these not like when people talk about socialist ideology, they always say that you guys want to ban the rich. And once again, there's a lot of people to my left. I talk to a lot of communists. My friend Rome, my other co-host Alex, because I don't think you should cut the Overton window off at your left. But if you implement all the policies, my so-called radical policies that I want to implement, billionaires actually would still exist. I want to abolish billionaires, but I don't think there's a path to do that right now. But if you implement my policies, they will still be billionaires. They will pretend Bernie Sanders' wealth tax was going so far, but a wealth tax literally keeps people with multiple billions of dollars, which they don't need. So my policies don't even go as far as they claim it do. I don't even get rid of the billionaires. They still live a life of luxury. But my policy will just increase the quality of life of everyone else. But once again, this country is not made for us. Capitalism is not made for us. The purpose of capitalism is to develop capital for the top. So it's always funny when you get working class people like, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. Oh, really? What capital do you own? What capital do you own? You are a worker. You're not a capitalist. Two different things. Anyone who read theory will know what I'm talking about. You got capitalists, you got the workers. Capitalism only work when you exploit the workers. Because just like Richard Wolff lays out, the only reason there's profit made on the business is because your labor value has been reached. So you produce more for that company than you're getting back. So that's what profit is. So people on my left will say, all right, we shouldn't have that all together. And I think that's a long-term plan. But my policies I'm advocating for right now is just so we increase the quality of life. So I'm not even going as far left as some of my friends are going on this. But they consider me a radical. Doesn't make sense at face value. And a lot of people are realizing that. That's why our generation is the most anti-capitalist generation by far. Like literally, socialism among our generation has an approval rating that is better than capitalism. First time that ever happened. That's why Dianne Feinstein is not retiring. Despite the fact that there's a story that just came out how she having serious kind of decline. That's why Joe Biden not retiring. That's why Nancy Pelosi in her 80s. That's why Jim Clyburn's in his 80s. Like, let me put a stat up that Good Guy Politics post, because I think I can find it pretty fast. My point is, my theory, I think one of the reasons why these people... Oh, this is grass. I want you guys to see this. This is a breakdown of the House. This is a breakdown of Congress based on age. And if you can't see it... Oh, man, let me scroll down. I cut off in stream just a little bit. Here, let me fix it so you guys can see the whole thing. But you see that? You see, millennials in Congress is marked by blue. Remember, millennials not necessarily young anymore. Millennials in their 30s, some are turning 40 now. Then they're Generation X. Then they're Baby Boomers, and they're the giant silent generation. Look how many people, like Generation X is not bad, because Generation X That's Obama's generation, right? I don't have any issue with them in power. But look at the overwhelming amount of baby boomers and silent generation that is in our government. And this is a story I read before. Let me wonder if I can Google find it real quick. But there were literally doctors that said under anonymity, they like, bro, people will be shocked the amount of Congress people who has Alzheimer's prescriptions. Our government is being ran by a bunch of dementia-ridden old people. That's why they don't care about the climate crisis, because they're not going to be affected by it. Back to my theory. My theory is one of the reasons why these people are refusing to retire is because they realize that the younger generation is more progressive. They can't allow the new generation to take place. Because even if you look at some of the center left, people, like people I am way far left to, the younger versions of that, other than the Pete Buttigieg, are more open to the reforms that the Jim Clyburns, that the Nancy Pelosi's, the Dianne Feinsteins, they're not for it straight up. Like even the people I disagree with, they at least say, like the young centrists, they will at least be like, yeah, we should legalize marijuana. We should end the wars. Like even the people I would hardcore disagree with, they at least somewhat better on those issues. He said, why don't you become a politician? You have a big following. It's in the works, bro. You never know. Because I told my response to this on Good Guy Politics, who posted it, I said, this is why it's time for us to start running. And this is why they're so desperate to hold that. Because Dianne Feinstein, she was trending all day yesterday and sometime this morning because that story about her having massive cognitive decline, which she don't remember was anyone told her like 30 minutes ago. Remember, she had a progressive challenger that Barack Obama endorsed Feinstein over. But once again, I gave a billion examples why Barack Obama's horrible. That's just one of many. And that was people were pointing out today. Hey, remember how Barack Obama endorsed the dementia-ridden old person over the progressive? Because that's his role. His role is to be the person who stops movements now. But look at that. This girl, I saw this. I had to share it. Cause that's what? How you break that down percentage, Rob? What is that like? Maybe like 5% millennial, 10%. Then there's like 40% baby boomers, 20% silent, like 15% silent generation. It's insanity. Yep. IMDb said we should cap the age. If there is a minimum age requirement to run, why isn't there a maximum age requirement? Especially considering that they're not ages. It's literally a fact that you're not the same when you're older. That's literally a fact. It's not me saying, oh, all these poor old people should be in government. No, I mean, it's like, bro, there's a point where you're not cognitively there. And honestly, dude, Bernie Sanders is a crazy outlier because it's insane how sharp he is by his age. So I actually gotta be careful because once again, it's not all black and white. So we gotta be careful on that, I guess, because Bernie Sanders is as sharp as a tack. I saw a comment. Someone joked. He said, "There's something about fighting for justice that keeps you mentally there." Like Noam Chomsky, he's 96, 97, still doing the damn thing. Nelson Mandela lived to what, in his late 80s? The people they allowed to live that long, right? The revolutionaries like Malcolm X, MLK, they kill. Fred Hampton, they kill. I just thought it was a funny joke. Because people like Mitch McConnell, their bodies falling apart. Almost like karma is literally physically attacking them for the shit they did in their lives. And he said, yep, he's a movement killer. He loves snuffing out our hope. Yep. It literally... I'm glad this is becoming more mainstream knowledge. He stuffed out Standing Rock during his administration. Stuffed out Occupy Wall Street. Snuffed out the Ferguson protests. Snuffed out the NBA player strike that was going to happen this year. He literally just came out against defund the police. During this administration, a lot of liberals forget about this. During his administration, he was the one that like, hey, Black Lives Matter, you guys got to calm down. He's like, you guys are being too loud. Once again, I always want to bring this factor to liberal. And this is the easiest thing you can do to get blocked. If you want to get blocked by a liberal on Twitter, bring up the fact that Black Lives Matter started under Obama. And it started under Obama for a reason. Once again, his guy. Yeah, that was another thing I'm thinking. He called the Baltimore protesters thugs. That's some Trumpian shit. He literally called them thugs. I do remember that. Let me pull the article. Y'all think I'm lying? Like, there were literally Republicans that Democrats were attacking for being racially insensitive because they were using the word thugs and referring them to the protesters. And look, he doubled down on it too, because this story from 2015, it said Obama. Let me pull it up so you guys can see it. Obama stands by the term thugs. This is your guy. This is the liberals' guy. So he doubled down. He's like, yeah, I said what I fucking said. They're thugs. Because they wanted racial justice. Now, what they're doing now, because it's getting so popular, they're like, oh yeah, I always support Black Lives Matter. And the liberals that literally say, you always, Democrat Party support Black Lives. No, it happened under Obama, and Obama did everything he could to crush it. Ferguson, he did everything he can to crush it. Standing Rock, you had indigenous people who was protesting a pipeline that was going through their community, in which they said will break and poison their environment, poison their water. Barack Obama sent federal thugs to gas them, to stop the protest, and saying, yo, you guys are being fear mongers. Meanwhile, what happened? I don't remember exactly the year. Let me find the article. But that same article, that same pipeline that these indigenous protesters and their allies were protesting, they said it was going to explode and it's going to poison the area. And it did exactly that. How many more examples got to pull up that these people are not your friends? How many? Like, there's so many examples, sometimes I forget them. I'll be like, alright, there's this. Like, you can't land them all. You got to go at them one by one. It's almost impossible. I remember I made a tweet. I was like, this is all the reasons why I refuse to vote for Joe Biden. Actually, no, I'm not gonna put no reason to be sure on here right now. But I literally did like a 5-page tweet about all the bad things that I did a 5-tweet thread about all the bad things Joe Biden did, and I literally stopped because I was like, all right, bro, I literally run out of characters for all 5 of these tweets. And then after I got done with that, I had people like, oh, you forgot about this, you forgot about that. I'm like, see, it's endless. It's endless. We knew exactly who he was after his first 100 days. Yep. Dr. Cornel West was right. Actually, let's do the Michael Eric Dyson story. Now just think about it. This will be our last story, and we call it. Because I told you guys, I had my dumb lib days back when I first get into politics. Because, once again, A1 go to the... Unless you're a Zoomer, like, Zoomers coming out the gate swinging. Right? They know this country is full of shit. But our generation, we go... Before the internet, we had corporate media dominating narrative. And even now, like, during high school, I was super excited about Barack Obama. And I still believe the Democratic Party had our best interests at heart. And then, just like you said, when Obama got in charge, I'm like, oh, nothing is fucking changing. They're doing the same thing. That kind of helped me woke me up. Let me find my tweet to reference what I'm going to bring up here. But one of the people that helped me get off to accept that Barack Obama wasn't who I thought he was Dr. Cornel West. Because Dr. Cornel West, I mean, you guys all know him. The legend himself. He was the first and one of the only black academia, and he obviously a big influence on a big character in the Bernie Sanders campaigns, and someone I look up to tremendously. Like that, the guy I probably model myself the most, especially when I'm talking to voters while I'm canvassing. But this is what Eric Dyson said about Joe Biden. And I remember because Cornel West was literally one of the people who, like, okay, he broke down Obama's record to a point like, fuck, he was right. He was right. Because Michael Eric Dyson was a guy you would see on these TV shows. He would talk real fast. He would talk articulate. And I remember in my lib days, I was very impressed by this guy. Because I was in high school, I would hear him talk. He would be super elegant. But he's literally a propagandist for the Democratic Party. And Michael Eric Dyson and Dr. Cornel West, they got into their beef because Dyson took offense towards Dr. Cornel West calling out our first black president. And Michael Eric Dyson was making an argument like, yeah, Obama's not perfect, but how can you can't tear down our black leaders? And the Republican, like, he was making the worst argument, and Dr. Cornel West ripped him to shreds. He's like, bro, Obama did this, Obama, like, I don't have to rehash the entire beef, but Cornel West warned us about this guy. And now this is what he's saying now. And I'll break down all the ways that Joe Biden has been one of the worst public servants to black people over the last 40 years. The crime bill, creating a carceral state that goes after us. The bankruptcy bill that created a financial system that racially discriminates against us, charges more on interest, created the medical debt crisis, that we have 31% of the world's medical debt because of Joe Biden. So his policies destroyed the black community, but did what Michael Eric Dyson said. I did so many segments on that, so there's no reason why I need to repeat that. But you gotta know my stance. I think Biden is one of the worst public servants for black people, period. Michael Eric Dyson said, despite all the damage that Biden did to the black community, he said Biden paid his debt owed to black Americans by picking a black man for Secretary of Defense. Bruh. The Secretary of Defense that he picked is a warmonger who supported every single war in U.S. history. Man, actually, there's actually no reason for me even to dive into his record. The fact that you think having a black face in a high place, just one, employing one person, is enough to undo the crimes of Joe Biden for the black community, you are an amazing clown of the highest level. I'm trying to find the words to even break down how stupid that is. He said Biden paid the debt owed to black Americans by picking a black man for Secretary of Defense. And I shared that quote from W.B. Du Bois. Some reason the black liberals, the people who are the black haves versus the black have-nots, they think the path towards liberation and the path towards emancipation against a racist institutional system is by having people that look at like us do the oppressing. That's what Michael Eric Dyson is literally advocating for. What our great revolutionary leaders like W.B. Du Bois lectured against, right? He literally going against like a very simple concept that a lot of black philosophers understood from the very beginning. The fact that just because you have someone who looks like you in government, that doesn't mean anything. Especially, once again, I could break the dude's record down, but he did nothing but support all the wars that destroyed black families. What? So once again, I'm kind of embarrassed when I look at my early teenage days, and when I literally used to listen to this dude speak, and I used to think he was smart as hell. And I tell this story all the time, like, man, I took the path. I wanted to be smart. I'm glad a lot of people think I am. It's because of when I seen people like Cornel West and Michael Eric Dyson. I was seeing them speak like, oh, I want to be smart like that motherfucker. But he wasn't. He never was smart. And I've been calling to do that ever since I made my awakening. And I hope this story point out why the black liberals like Michael Eric Dyson, they're our enemy. Because his job is to sheep herd otherwise anti-establishment minded black people into the Democratic Party. Because Michael Eric Dyson, people see him a lot on the hip hop scene. He probably the cool philosopher, and he uses that to try and get black people to vote for Democrats. That's literally his entire thing. And then once I realized that, I look back on the world like, I can't believe I didn't see it. Can't believe I didn't see it. Anyway, I think that's a good story to end it on. Let me see if I missed any comments. Let's get some little bit of comments on the end of here. Once again, I went longer than I thought I was gonna go. Damn, so I'm almost at 2 hours. He said, try pinning your Twitch and YouTube profiles at the top of your Twitter. Yeah, I do that every once in a while. I put my videos up there every once in a while. I know one guy was mad I wasn't responding to the questions. He was so pissed. But I was like, bro, I'm doing my story. Chill. Thank you guys for having my back on that. Yeah, he's the IMB said Cornel West radicalized me. Love that dude so much, man. I can't wait to, like, if I ever meet Cornel West, like, I have no celebrity worship bone in my body. I realized that 'cause when I always wonder, cause I met a few famous people and I'm like, oh yeah, I actually don't feel anything when I meet them. I just don't. I hate people who like worship celebrities. I don't get culture shocked over anyone. But honestly, like, if I met Bernie and Dr. Cornel West, I might be a little bit. I might be a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. Like, but you see the difference, right? The people I'll be shocked, and people I want to meet are people who put substantial work and intellectual leaders. Like, these are the kind of people I'll be shocked to meet. I don't care about a fucking singer. I met the guy who was played Cyborg in the Justice League. We was I told the story before. We gave speeches in barbershops. I met him. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You play Cyborg. That's pretty cool. I literally didn't feel anything. But with Cornel West, he influenced me so much. I was like, man, I literally would just shake his hand. I was like, bro, I don't even want to bother you, bro. I wouldn't even want to bother you. That's how I feel, to be honest. Nick, you ever thankful you went on the right path? I keep wondering what would have happened to me if George Floyd never happened. That was what radicalized me. I never was into politics before, just a stupid teen. I joke about this all the time on Twitter. I always say one of the worst mistakes I ever made was getting into politics. Because I'm a fighter at heart, and I hate authoritarians. I hate people that I believe are causing me suffering. And I'm a fighter at heart. I can't not pay attention to that. So I miss the blissful days when I used to think Obama had our best interests at heart. I miss the blissful days of thinking like, man, we have a well-running country. Things are going to be great. And I joke on Twitter all the time, man. There's a blissful ignorance that comes from being a liberal. There's a blissful ignorance that comes from not knowing how bad things are. Sometimes, especially when I see these storylines, man, I wish I don't know all this stuff, but now that I do, I don't regret it because once again, I idolize MLK, Fred Hampton, Malcolm X, and I see myself following their footsteps. I know that's big to say, but I'm not saying I'm them. I'm saying that I want to be like them because I think black people forgotten, and that's literally the history of our people. I mean, I need to do a whole other segment on this. I need to wrap it up here, but I'm gonna get to it real quickly what I mean by that. The history of our people is the history of revolutionaries. Malcolm X, W.B. Du Bois, Frederick Hampton. So many I can't even think about right now. Angela Davis, right? And then you had a lot of other black philosophers that was responsible for the abolition movement in the 1800s, right? Man, Savion will kick my ass right now because I'm blanking on a lot of names. My point is, the history of black life has been fighting the ruling class and creating a better society for ourselves. And this is why I criticize black liberals and the Black Democratic Party so much. And I'm seeing black people as a whole abandon these revolutionary roots that we have. So when I see black people vote for Joe Biden overwhelmingly, I'm like, what? I mean, our generation, the black youth, we saw through that shit. But the entire black boomer, I'm very, very hard on the black boomer generation. I think they had it hard, but they abandoned the teachings of our revolutionary leaders. They didn't have I'm trying to see the best way to put it. They have like fuck you, I got mine mentality. And if you look at like Latino communities, you look at Asian communities, it's all about us all taking care of each other. They have very like strong community support. And the reason why I say the black boomers forgot the revolutionary roots because Black Panthers used to do that. That was a big part of what they did. Challenging the establishment, having mutual aid groups, all this kind of stuff. Do you see that in black people now? You get black athletes, you get all these black wealthy people, they get their money, they leave the hood. You got black people, like, look at all the celebrities who endorsed Joe Biden. Look at all the black leaders who endorsed Joe Biden. They did that because they don't want to harm their seat at the table. So they wanted to throw our community under the bus to support our oppressors in order to get a seat at the table. Once again, I told you guys, W.B. Du Bois warned us about this. Once again, I can talk about this all the time. I need to stop this rant. My point is, I'm writing a piece right now talking about the rise of the black leftists because I think our generation is changing this. We're seeing the rise of Nina Turner, Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, Mondaire Jones, Charles Booker, Jamal Bowman, Brianna Joy Gray. I'm trying to be one of them myself. But there's a new generation of black leftists that are preaching what MLK and Malcolm X, Frederick Hampton, and them actually believed, right? Instead of black liberalism. Black liberalism, which the black boomers preach, is responsible for destroying our communities. And they still stand Joe Biden. Jim Clyburn still endorsed Joe Biden. Older black people vote for Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders in overwhelming numbers. I told the story all the time about that black dude in the barbershop I argued about socialism. He's 74 years old. Didn't know MLK was a socialist. Countless people like that. So, I don't remember why I even got on this rant. I don't remember. I responded to a comment. He said that, yeah, simple average person. I love that term, the Democratic plantation. That's really what it is. I don't remember why I even got into this rant. Oh yeah, you asked me about why I don't regret getting into politics. The reason why I don't regret getting into politics is because I wanna open people's eyes. I want to bring, like, the people I'm around, black people, I want them to realize where we came from. We came from fighting the establishment, not joining the establishment. It'd be one thing if our black community was in a great shape, but it's the exact opposite. The state of the black community is worse than it was at the start of the civil rights movement. I did a story on that. Racial income inequality right now, the gap between white wealth and black wealth is worse now than it was in the civil rights era. The black boomers, they literally left the civil rights movement undone. They were like, all right, we done passed the Civil Rights Act. We're not going to do anything else. Meanwhile, they supported the Black Congressional Caucus supported the crime bill. He said, Nick, repeat that. That was a beautiful quote. What'd I say? The civil rights movement was left undone, right? I don't know. I don't know what quote you're talking about. Oh, the racial. I don't know the income inequality. Because I'm literally writing a paper on this. So I've been doing a lot of research. In 1960s, black people. Once again, these numbers are horrible. 9.2% of white wealth. You know what the number is right now? 8.5. We went backwards. And people wonder why I'm kicking and screaming. 40% of the homeless is black people, despite the fact that we're 13% of the population. Despite the fact that we're 13% of the population, we got 31% that has medical debt. We have a system of new Jim Crow, which Joe Biden supports, that's designed to give us felony charges to take away our voting. It's literally a thing, literally called the new Jim Crow. That's the entire aim of the drug war. And the whole reason why they put the crime bill. And who supported those? The Black Congressional Caucus. Jim Clyburn. Right? The leaders I'm supposed to love. John Lewis, the great John Lewis, who I'm supposed to respect, that black people love to death. He supported it. John Lewis, the legendary John Lewis, who I'm supposed to be super sad for, who I'm supposed to hold up as a civil rights icon, he voted to have the Libyan war. He's the reason why we got African slave trade. That guy. The record of our black leaders is horrible. So, sorry I didn't get to the rest of the comments, but in a nutshell, I'm glad I have my voice now because I'm starting to get people to realize this shit. At least within my circle, within people that can read my tweet. I had so many people reach out to me and they said, I voted Green Party because of you. I was a conservative. Now, like, man, I don't like Democrats either, but at least I'm open to your ideology. I have so many people say that kind of stuff. So, I guess there's... let me see what you're talking about. I'm missing the comment. He said, Nick, you said a perfect quote in your other stream, by the way. What quote was that? He said, holy fuck. I'm pretty sure you're talking about the homeless stats. In my paper, the theme of the paper I'm writing is You guys left the civil rights movement undone. What at the end of the day, what did we accomplish? Well, racial inequality is worse. I mean, yeah, racial income inequality is worse than since the civil rights movement. We got police killing black men at the same rates, just like the civil rights era. If you look at the racial justice, the racial justice system, how black people get charged more on crime, we are more likely to be pulled over and arrested for marijuana charges, despite the fact that white people use it about 5-6 times rate. When you look at the fact that black people are more likely to get the death penalty on the same charge, what exactly did you guys accomplish during? I mean, you guys actually did. I know. I don't want to phrase that way. I gotta be careful. I don't want to phrase that way. You guys accomplished or not, but you got stopped. You got stop the man for shit. Like, all right, we're gonna vote Democrat for the rest of our life. Shit drives me crazy. Once again, I didn't want to rant that long, but you gotta know how I feel about that. I just looked at so many lost potential over the last few decades. So I don't regret getting into politics because, well, I do regret it because I wish I was blissful. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I had the voice so I can continue to spread what I'm talking about. And I envy me. Yes, let's end on this quote. Yeah, because you got the quote that I pulled up. I said, there's a reason why MLK, Malcolm X, and Frederick Hampton were assassinated, while John Lewis, Jim Clyburn, and Elijah Cummings became congressmen. The former fought capitalism and imperialism, while the latter maintained controlled opposition. Exactly. People say John Lewis, he's a civil rights icon because he gave that speech. He was the youngest person that speak at MLK. So, I don't give a fuck. So you gave that one speech and then you stopped and sold out to the establishment. My position is, I think we would have been in a better position if you gave that speech to someone else, because he wasn't the only one fighting in the civil rights movement. Give that speech to someone else who wouldn't have sold out. You know that the people that, just like I said at one stream, the people who didn't sell out, MLK, Frederick Hampton, like you mentioned, MLK, Malcolm X, all these people, they was killed. The people who did the work of the establishment and who are now held as heroes because they did what the establishment want to do, like John Lewis, Jim Clyburn, and Elijah Cummings, they worship as heroes, even though they sold our community out. Jim Clyburn take by far the most in big pharma money out of anyone. And I already told you guys about the state of black medical debt and the state of black healthcare. So that's directly because of him. So yeah, I guess you was a part of the civil rights movement, bro. Congratulations. But then after that, you joined with Big Pharma to destroy our community. So am I supposed to be impressed by you for that? So that's a whole nother segment on I didn't even do. Man, I actually did. I plan on doing a short stream, but now I don't feel bad. I actually did end up doing 2 hours. Thank you for the nice comment. I envy me. I was going to get these last ones before I call it here. Megan there said, we're going to have to compare the sellouts of the civil rights and feminist movements. Oh, yeah. I can only imagine. I know I was well read into the history of the feminist movement like I am with the history of the black movement. But I can say one thing for sure. White liberal feminism has been an enemy of black people for a long time. Like literally a lot of white feminists during the women's suffrage age, they were literally openly racist. And they was pro women's suffrage, but they was anti-civil rights movement. So you had a lot of white women feminists. They believe in feminism for white women, but they didn't want to have the feminism for black women. That's a whole another long story. I remember reading about that. I'm not like an expert at that, but I remember reading an article like, man, a lot of the white feminists and white women's suffrage movement supporters, they were deeply racist. So I know exactly what you're talking about, Meg. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep, that's a good one. Listen to black women unless they are politically to my left. And you see, Nina Turner just announced, and now they going hard after her with racist comments. I'll post a few on my Twitter. And the tweet I tweeted today that blew up was a very simple observation. White liberals, they love Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris spent her career locking up black people. Those same white liberals hate Nina Turner because Nina Turner spent her career liberating black people. That's not an accident. Anyway, let me end on that. This is Nick, the Progressive Martial Artist. Appreciate you guys watching my stream. If you enjoyed, please follow, subscribe. I have my Patreon and my PayPal linked here as well. So help my channel grow if you enjoy this chat. I appreciate anyone who follows today. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers, so I think I'm on path to do that. Help me out. Help me to do that. You can catch a replay on my YouTube page that you see right here, The Progressive Martial Artist. So check out the replay if you missed the whole stream on there.